Hi lovely people, welcome to this video on journaling. In a moment I'm going to be introducing Ella Hutchings from Ella Coaching, and she's going to be taking you through an amazing journaling practice, asking you some questions will help you to really think about how you want to be during this important transition during your lives. And just to put a bit of context in there, the reason why we're focusing on mindfulness this week is because it's even more important during perimenopause and menopause to take time out to recalibrate your brain and develop some day-to-day practices which allow you to slow down, to refocus. We have so much going on during this transition. As I've talked before, we're often we're called a sandwich generation because we've got so many pressures on us, managing careers, busy lives, elderly relatives, teens because we're having children later. So much going on, and so it's even more important to slow down the brain and give yourself an opportunity to reset. And journaling can be a very, very powerful tool to do this. So I'm going to pass over to Ella now, and she's going to talk to you a bit of background about why we're doing this. She's going to ask you some really good, pertinent questions that will help you think about this transition and how you want to be. And then she'll let you know where you can contact her. So I'm going to hand over to Ella now. Thanks, Ella.
Thanks very much, Laura. So as Laura's mentioned, going through perimenopause and menopause means that we have loads of different things going on for us. Emotionally, physically, mentally, life transitions happen here, life changes that make us think differently potentially about things or about ourselves. And I think it's really important to have a whole suite of strategies. So although I'm talking about journaling today, I like to talk to my coaching clients about having a toolbox of strategies that we can call on at any point in order to be able to get through what is going on at that point in our lives. So for me, journaling has been a real help in all moments of change in my life, to be able to talk to the page, if you like. That's what I feel like I'm doing. Just download my thoughts as they come out. Messy. They do not have to be well written. They don't have to be spelt right. They don't have to be full sentences. No one needs to see this but you. My journal is completely messy. If you want to do it beautifully, that's okay too. But it doesn't need to be like that. I don't want you to be thinking of it as like writing a diary or writing to someone. It's just get it out of your head and down onto paper. And I think the reason that this helps when we're going through change is that it helps us get things out of our head and down onto paper so that we feel a bit lighter, we feel a bit clearer, we feel a bit of relief from that. But also it helps us notice what's going on day to day. It helps us track patterns in mood, energy and symptoms even. And it can help us reflect on what we actually need out of a situation. Sometimes when we're just in it and going round, a bit like in a hamster wheel, we just keep doing the same things because we think that should be helping when actually something completely different might do. And when you start journaling and start writing, you'll be surprised sometimes at some of the things that pop out. Okay, so how do we do journaling? Well, as I mentioned, messy, in-flow writing doesn't need to be neat and tidy. It's yours, you don't need to show it to anyone, and you don't need to read it back after the first time of going over it, which I'll explain in a minute. I would suggest that you always set a timer, but you absolutely don't have to. But for me, that's something that really helps me, 2 to 5 minutes, depending on what is right for you. I find it helps because it focuses me. I get very distracted. It also gives me an end point so that I know that I'm not that it doesn't feel like it's pressure to just keep writing and writing and writing. Like, have I done enough? I know the timer's going to go off. Also, it can be really therapeutic, journaling and writing things down when we're talking about emotions and how we're feeling about things. And again, it's about keeping us safe. So it's really helpful, but let's stop at some point so that we don't end up kind of overwhelming ourselves with those feelings. Once you've then done that, my suggestion would be take a moment or two and then have a look back over your writing and pick out things. So patterns. Are there similar words? Are there similar phrases? Have you noticed that you've gone off at a tangent when asked a particular question and you've referred it to something else? Is there something missing that you're surprised isn't there? Or on the flip of that, is there something that you really weren't expecting to come out? I would say circle these things, highlight them, make a list on the next page, whatever you want to do to kind of draw these out, because those are the important things that you're going to potentially come back to and want to do something with. I like, if possible, and we can't do this always in our live sessions, but when you're journaling by yourselves, I like then to take some time to reflect. either straight afterwards or later down the line on a walk, sitting with a cup of tea, staring out the window, whatever works for you, and just reflect on kind of how that felt, what came up, the things that that you were surprised about. Think about those things a little bit, and then come back to it at a slightly later date, straight afterwards, that evening, the next week, whenever feels the right time. And start thinking about what actions can you take from it? What can you start doing? What can you stop doing? What could you do a bit more of? What could you do differently? What could you explore that might help? And I'm not talking about massive big changes. I'm not saying we have to have loads of big goals here. You might do, and that's fine too. But I'm talking about small, tiny actions. So is there something you've written about in your writing that brings you real joy, but you do really rarely? Could you do a bit more of it? Because that could make you feel good. Especially when you're having a down emotional day or something. If you did some of that day, that could really help lift your spirits. So it's about just noticing those little patterns, those little signs of things that could help make things easier in this transition. So I'm going to give you some journaling prompts. I would suggest that, so that we're not sitting here just looking at me for 2 or 5 minutes, and everyone's different. Everyone needs a bit of different length of time. I would suggest that once I've given you the prompt, maybe giving you a little bit around it, you then pause the video, do your journaling, and then unpause to get the next prompt. I've got 3 for you today. The other thing you can do is just choose one. You do not have to do 3 a day. You do not have to journal every day if you don't want, but getting into a regular practice can really help. So some people in my group will journal 3 to 4 journal prompts once a week. Some people will take one and do it every day. Again, make it work for you and your lifestyle. It's not supposed to be another pressure. It's supposed to be useful and help you get through this time. Okay, so the first prompt I've got today, obviously related to the topic that we're talking about, is what wisdom am I gaining through this transition? Our brains, as lots of you I'm sure will know, our brains have a negativity bias. So we often notice the things that are going wrong, the things that don't feel good, the things that we can't do anymore. But actually, there's a lot of positivity going on at this time too. We just sometimes need a bit of a prompt to help notice it. So I would say take this time, 2 to 5 minutes, and write about what wisdom you think you're going to be gaining from this transition or you've already gained. Let's write that down. Let's notice it. Okay, so the next prompt when you're ready is, what do I want this next chapter to look like? Again, I think lots of us feel like this is happening to us, and it is, I get that. But actually, taking some control of elements that we can take control of can really make it feel like a better experience. So if you want to make sure that you come out the other side feeling still fit and healthy, but the previous exercises that you were doing now don't seem to work for you, what can you do differently? Think about those things. If you want to have something, you can have it. There is a solution out there, but you need to sometimes think creatively about that. And that's, again, where journaling can really help, because it brings up sometimes suggestions that you didn't even know were there. So that's the second prompt. What do I want the next chapter to look like? Okay, and then the final one today that I want to share with you is, what part of me am I ready to let go as I enter this new season? Again, some of us feel like this is happening to us, and so things are being taken, if you like. Things are being forced on us to let go. Actually, let's take that power back. Let's write down what bits of us that were there before that actually now we are ready to let go of. What are we going to choose to do differently? What are we going to choose to slightly amend so that it suits us now in this different stage of life? So that prompt is, what part of me am I ready to let go of as I enter this new season? Okay, so I hope that you found that useful. I'd really love to know what came up for you. If you want to remember, this is your journal. You do not have to share anything with anyone, but sometimes it's really nice to just share 1 or 2 things that came up. So if you'd like to, please do in the comments share what came up with you, or get in touch with me privately, and I'll share that in a moment.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ella. That's been really insightful. I'm definitely going to be looking at those questions as well. So just quickly remind people where they can find you, because that's really important.
Yeah, great. So I'm all over the social medias. So my website is www.ellacoaching.co.uk. You can find me in most places, Instagram, YouTube as @Ella Coaching. I have a private Facebook group which is free, which anyone can join. That is Transform Together with Ella Coaching. And I'm on LinkedIn, Ella Hutchings, through a lot to do with my business on my career side of the business, as well as this side. So yeah.
Amazing. Brilliant. Well, you've got work to do, guys. Get off and do your journaling, and we will see you very soon with the next part of the Menopause Awareness Month. Take care, guys. Bye.